Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. So, Keith thinking, all right, well, I got me a live one, I might as well interview him. So he says, I have a very special guest here, what is your name? He says, my name is Jack Ruby. I don't know where the interview went after that, but that's a moment I would love to have heard. Steven Tyler, dangerous to put a microphone in his face. You just never know. One of those great moments. The beauty of radio when it was always in the moment. Not so much anymore, though.
Maybe you've addressed it already, because I missed the beginning, but how have different interests in your own life fed into the topics you've talked about on radio, whether it's the cooking or whether it's something else? How has that changed over the years in terms of where you were at in terms of personal interests?
That's a really good question, because you don't want to force your interests on your audience too much unless it's something that they really can connect with. For instance, if I was a butterfly collector, there wouldn't be a whole lot of interest in hearing that day after day after day. Now, I did talk about cooking a lot because most people like to eat, and a lot of people like to cook, so I felt that was pretty safe. But you always have to know who your audience is. You have to make sure that if I'm talking to the audience of the guys that said Mayor Menino is dead, the 18 to 34-year-old males, I can't be talking about whipping up a souffle Sunday morning. They're just not going to want it. I have to talk to them about, topless women and stuff like that. So you have to know who your audience is. Yes, you can put in some of your interests, but you have to make sure it's believable and that you don't overdo it. So, again, it's all about connecting with people. Otherwise, they won't listen. You get bad ratings and you'll be fired. So, who else? Yes?
I know you said in your career that it wasn't important for you, or you didn't feel like it was more important that you could perform than have a degree. Do you feel like with the corporatization of radio in general that it may be more important now?
Absolutely. And that's what, when I speak at schools or colleges, I say absolutely get a degree. Even if you don't use it for radio, you'll need it for something. And I mean, we're getting to the point now where even a bachelor's degree in some industries doesn't mean anything. You better have a master's degree and go even further into that. I mean, which is very sad. I'm sorry, the whole educational system is way out of whack with people's ability to pay. I mean, when it took me 5 years to get through college because I was working full time and I just didn't want to kill myself. And I went to a very good private school, University of Detroit, Jesuits, kind of like St. A's, which is Benedictine. And those 5 years in the early 70s only cost $10,000 altogether. Well, $10,000 pays for about 2 classes these days in a semester. And then our
dorm room.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I was a commuter student, so I didn't have that. But how many kids are graduating with 6 figures of school loans? That it's like having another mortgage. How do they ever get ahead? Do they have jobs that justify that kind of post-school payout? Many don't. And there's something wrong here, and I'm hoping that there'll be some kind of a correction somewhere. And the online universities, although I've never done it, seems to work for a lot of people. Online colleges is working in a lot of industries, and I respect it. People will look at them and say, this is a good degree that you have. So things have changed, haven't they, over the years? And you have to always keep your mind open to go with those changes. Otherwise, you'll be left behind. I didn't like Facebook when it came out because they made us do Facebook on our radio show. I said, well, look, I spend 3 hours a day preparing for the radio show. I don't want to sit on Facebook and think of stupid questions. Do you like bruised bananas or fresh bananas? So, but I realized that I really had to get with the program and do it. And it's important now that I'm not in radio, I'm using social media a lot more for my writing and other things to keep people interested in me, because I'm not on the radio anymore. I don't want them to forget me. I've got other things they're going to want to read or listen to in the years ahead. So that's the challenge. Okay. Well, that's it. Wow, pretty good. 20 minutes of questions. For those that would be interested in having a signed book, they're $20. I will be at the table. And if you don't, I can't thank you enough. You had great questions. You were very attentive. You laughed in all the right places. And I thank you for listening, for those that did over the years. So thank you so much for coming to the discussion. Meet me at the table over here if you're interested.